Hey, Marty here. Welcome to the Sublime to the Ridiculous Video Blog Edition. Boom. I talk a lot about me pops and I talk a lot about me Grandpa Joe, and someone I don't talk about a lot in part because I don't have that many stories about him was me great Grandpa James. Great Grandpa James was me Grandpa Joe's dad, me pops' grandfather, so my great grandfather lived to be 92 years old and lived his whole life on the same farm south of Jacksonville, Illinois, and I've been told he was quite a character. I've also been told he's the only one who could tame me Grandpa Joe. Me Grandpa Joe was kind of ornery and fractious, as I think I've made clear. But me great Grandpa James seemed to be able to tame him, seemed to be able to keep him in line. One of me pops' favorite stories was when they were down in Illinois visiting back when Dad was a teenager, 16 or 17 years old. Him and a bunch of his cousins went out into a field with a baseball and gloves and a bat and were just hitting and fielding to each other, not an organized game, but, throw the ball up in the air, boom, crack a ball out there, and the other guys would shag the flies, and then someone else would come in and take a turn at bat. And they noticed their Grandpa James staring out at what they were doing, and then he started walking up to the field where the boys were playing. And he got up to him and said, "Hey, fellas, mind if I hit a few?" Well, he was 85 at the time, and he had a hernia. And, of course, his grandsons knew this. So they were concerned about letting him play ball with them, but they hated to tell him no. So they went ahead and said, "Sure, Grandpa," and gave him a bat and ball, and he stood out there like the kids and threw a ball in the air, crack, and they're shagging flies. Well, Dad says after a few minutes he sees his dad, me, Grandpa Joe, coming out, and he's looking at what's going on in the field. And Grandpa Joe knows his dad has this hernia. But he's standing back out of the way like he's unsure what to do, and me dad, 16 or 17 at the time, remembered thinking, "Wow, Joe seems indecisive, and one thing Joe was indecisive." And then finally he made up his mind what to do, and he walked up to the field to where his father, me, great-grandpa James, was hitting the baseball, and said to his father rather timidly, again, Dad was shocked at Grandpa Joe being timid about anything. And all me Grandpa Joe said to great-grandpa James was, "Dad, you really think you should be doing this with your hernia and all?" And he said, Great-Grandpa James looked at my Grandpa Joe and just said, "Joe, I believe I'm about old enough to do as I please." And Joe just left it at that and went back to the house, and Great-Grandpa James was hitting baseballs to his grandson to his heart content until he decided it was over. So, Great-Grandpa James, the one who could tame Grandpa Joe, thank you for watching and listening. Please like, subscribe, comment in the comment menus. Share if you really like. I'd appreciate whatever you do for me in the meantime. This is Marty going from the sublime to the ridiculous. And like me great-grandpa James, I think I too am about old enough to do what I please.